Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. And what's on the review tonight? Fire Emblem Engage. Fire Emblem Engage is the latest Fire Emblem game to come out. It was developed by Intelligent Systems, published by Nintendo. Came out on January 20th, 2023 on the Nintendo Switch. Again, it's a Fire Emblem game, so it's the tactical strategy Fire Emblem games. So, I think the last one that we had reviewed was the Warriors type Fire Emblem, which is Koei Tecmo's Warriors type games. They've made several of those, and I think we all pretty much liked that one. But that's definitely different than traditional Fire Emblem. So this is more of the traditional Fire Emblem. A little bit different than Three Houses. I've played Three Houses, and that was pretty good. But this was more, from what I could tell, and from playing through it, it was more kind of akin to old school Fire Emblem more than kind of what Three Houses did. Which it was still a technical strategy, but it's just seems just more like old school stuff. So it's pretty cool. That kind of throwback to the old Fire Emblems. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, this game is tactical strategy, single player. It does have some online type of components to it. You can see it's kind of like Dark Souls in that sense, where you go into battles, and if you're online, you can kind of see like where other people have died, and they'll have items that they've dropped, or where they were succeeded, and they'll have items they've dropped and various things like that. And then you can also kind of look at other people's game cards in the records hall. You can kind of look at their achievements and various things of that nature in there. So we're going to go to Shane here and see what he thought about Fire Emblem Engage. Shane, what do you think?
I enjoyed it more than I was expecting. Once I played with the settings, I should state. It's a fun game overall, but there's a few things in the settings I had to change. First thing Nick pointed out is you can set the dialogue to auto, where it'll just continue. Thank God for that. But the dialogue is really good. Voice acting is really good for the most part throughout the game. I did not like the fact that when you engage into a battle with a foe, you go from the top down isometric, boom, and then it does like a little, not a cutscene or anything, but it just gives you an up close view of the battle itself. And it would do that with every fight. And then you can go in and change that to make it more sparse or just not at all. I turned it off completely. They're neat, but it just kind of takes you away from the actual fight to get that little, pretty view of the battle. And I just didn't care for that. But once I changed that and a few other settings, I really enjoyed this game. It started off kind of a slog. It was a little slow because the battles were really quick, but there was just so much dialogue. It was just talk after talk after talk. That was, well, I guess that's it's really a staple for Fire Emblem, is a lot of talking. I mean, there is a ton of dialogue, but it's done well, so I give it that. But once you get to story 2, chapter 2, it's more fluid and it speeds up and it's more paced properly. So it's enough dialogue to the battle to to movement and all that, and you learn quite a bit as you play all the way. Got up to like chapter 6 or 7. They still teaching you different things. There's more things that you unlock and you can do. From just simple battle mechanics to giving you a top-down world to kind of peruse through. It's neat. This is one of those few Switch games that look and run really well on the Switch. I had no hiccups. I don't know about Nick, but I had no hiccups with it. Graphically, it was very pretty. It's it's a Fire Emblem art style. Interesting characters, hair that doesn't seem to work with gravity, outfits that are just like, no, not even a Kardashian would wear that. And they hose. So it's traditional Fire Emblem art style and characters, and I really enjoyed that. The combat was really good. I'm not as big on these strategy type games, these top down strategies, as Nick and Pat are definitely are, but I enjoyed it because every character is just so set up to take on certain positions and roles in your group that it's nice, it's clean, it's easy to remember. Even though you have a lot of characters you will battle with at the same time, and then you acquire more, and then you got to remember which ones do what when you swap them in and out. Some of them are great with flyers, some of them are great with archers, some of them are great with archers that are flying. I mean, it's you got to remember that, but it's easy to remember because the characters are done so well that it's like, I know this one, that one will go here. It's really, it wasn't as cumbersome as I was expecting it to be, because like I said, I'm not as big on these games, but I really enjoyed this one. And it's just a really interesting world and story that's going on. So I really have no real complaints about this game, excluding a few features that I went in and adjusted and turned off or tweaked a little bit, just because to me it took away from the game, or I just didn't like the way it handled. But that's me. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, one good thing about that from your perspective is at least the options were there, right? For you to turn off or adjust as a player would want to do. And I agree with you with the combat. The when it goes down to the kind of like the third person, like detailed camera view instead of that top down view, that is cool looking. It is cool, but after a while, after you've seen it so many times, you, even if you have it still turned on, you can hit start and skip the scene, which is nice if you wanted to keep it on for like maybe new encounters that you haven't seen before, or new spells, or new whatever that you haven't seen. But once you've seen like the sword slash or the axe attack or fire spell so many times, you're like, okay, and just skip that because I've already seen this 100 times. Yeah, the beginning of the game is very dialogue heavy. You're not going to do a lot except for sit back and watch and listen. They do take a long time at the beginning to really just kind of set the tone and set the story, kind of stand the story up as far as how the story is going to be. But Shane's right. Like after chapter 2, chapter 3, somewhere around there, they pretty much just let you go at that point, right? And then so now you don't have that super dialogue heavy parts. You kind of have a mixture now of combat and dialogue parts that kind of come and go. So it allows you to get into the combat, which you will enjoy, and then also have those dialogue points where you get to learn more about your characters, learn more about the story, and let the story continue to unfold. You also get to the point where, as the world opens up, you get side quests. There are side quests you can do, which you could, with the side quests, maybe helping out a town, which may give you items, which may give you additional characters that, if you don't go do that, you're not going to get this additional character, which that's fine if you don't, but you may want them, right? But yeah, I mean, this game, just like a tactical strategy, it has a lot to offer you, right? You can trade weapons in and out with characters. You can buy weapons, sell weapons, armor, items, magic, all sorts of things. You can adopt pets. So after battles, you usually have a little area where you can talk to your allies and you can pick up items and stuff. And sometimes there's animals around like dogs, cats, chickens, birds, and you can take them back to your home base. And they basically give you items if you set them out in the pasture. They'll, when you leave and come back, they'll have some sort of item in front of them that they've found or something like that you can pick up. And then, your home base is really cool too, because as you progress, it gets more and more things in it. More and more people are within the home base, and you can do more activities and more things open up. The training center and the chef where you can order food, and you can have support quests for your characters, which increases their bond. And if you increase their bond, it's like when they get more skills and things like that when they're out on the battlefield, when they're with you out on the battlefield. So just like a tactical strategy, you have that whole bond situation, which a lot of games, tactical strategies like that have. You got to know your comrades type of thing. But this game is a lot of fun. I found it a lot of fun. I thought the combat was a lot of fun. You do get a lot of characters, just like a lot of tactical strategies, but it is easy to, if you're not, the great thing about it is if you're not big into tactical strategy, or if it's new, this game would be easy for you to pick up and play. And that's because it's when you're out on the battlefield, even though it may feel overwhelming to have all these characters and this person can do that or that can do this against, like Shane was saying, a sword, someone with an axe hurts a person with a sword, and so on and so forth, archers against flyers. The game does a really good job of making sure that it has icons and various things to let you know that, hey, this person's going to allow you to break that person. And break means that they don't counterattack, right? So you know that they're weak against that. It also shows you how much damage you're going to do. So when you line up a character to another enemy, you can be like, okay, well, excuse me, they're not going to do much damage to them, right? So maybe not that character. Maybe I need to put someone else against them. You can also have characters with multiple weapons. So, okay, that weapon sucks against the enemy, but the other weapon I have on this character doesn't. So I'm going to use that against them, right? There's just a lot of stuff to do, and a lot of ways to think about setting up your team and what weapons and things that they have. And if you don't want to do that, there also, when you go and customize your characters, there's also an optimize equipment button. So you can just hit that and let it select the best thing for them, right? So if you don't want to meticulously go through and select the things that you want for your characters, you can just let the system handle it for you and select the best stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things to do in this game. Overall, it's a really good game. I mean, graphically, I think it's probably one of the best looking games on Switch currently, or at least it's come out in quite a while. It's a great looking game. The dialogue's really good. Everything is voice acted. The only thing that's not is like when you're at your home base, or if you're in a town during like the between missions, they don't speak. They just have the text that you read, but they're very short. It's not like long-winded conversations. The long-winded conversations are all voice acted. So you don't have to worry about that. Like a sentence is not going to be, but anything that's going to have dialogue between two characters for 5 minutes or so or whatever, not that long, but you know what I mean, several sentences between each other, it's going to be voice acted. So, which is good because you can set the auto scroll for voice acting. Just sit your controller down and let them talk it out and go through the scene. You don't have to do anything but sit back and watch. And the voice acting is not too bad. Everybody, it's your normal kind of anime trope voice acting, but everybody's also happy-go-lucky. That's the other thing. That's another anime thing there for that. For some animes, I should say. Everybody is so happy to see everybody else, and everyone's in a chipper mood all the time. So it's just weird that everybody's so excited. But ultimately, I enjoyed this game. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the combat was a lot of fun. And there's just a lot here too. There's a lot to the game. So overall, I think it's a really good game. Definitely worth your money.
Yeah. One thing I did like is me and you had talked a little bit while we were playing, and, we were talking about how quick, the battles were at the beginning, and the battles get longer, much, much longer than those, the first few chapters, introduced to you. And there is an auto battle mode that you can set up. You can go with, when it focuses on healing or just all out kicking ass, or, a nice balance. And I tried it out on 2 battles, and it worked really well, except for the fact that if your character leveled up, it wouldn't continue. It would just pause right there. So you'd have to hit your button, and then the auto battle will continue. So that would be something I think they should, fix. If you're going to put an auto battle in there, it should just, okay, you leveled up, great, because you can't do nothing. It's just telling you did. You can't do nothing yet. So, just continue the freaking battle. That was probably my only real complaint I had, is because it's a really neat feature because it worked really well, except for those interruptions of the battle. It wouldn't progress, and then. But I digress. I didn't think I'd like it, but I really got into it, and I sat here and I just played and played and played, and um, I wish there was some online, because when you first load it up, do you want to connect online? Sure, you know, cool. Give me some online stuff. It'd be neat if you could battle against your friends online. Or even some sort of a cooperative thing would have been really cool. But I didn't see an option for it. So, but I think that would be really neat, because it's a fun strategy game. To watch my 12-year-old anime girls with big boobies go after Nick's 12-year-old anime girls with big boobies. I think this game would have been really fun to have some sort of a competitive or even cooperative gameplay with it. Uh, but for the Switch, it's a solid playing game. It's a solid looking game. I really got to get a new controller, but it's such a fun game. Well worth every penny of it. If you're into strategy, highly recommend it. If you're into Fire Emblem, I recommend it. If you're into 12-year-old anime girls, go for it. I recommend it too.
Yeah, they do have some online features, like I say, but they don't have the competitive, like head-on-head features. They kind of do, but the opponents are controlled by AI and not by someone else, right?
Yeah.
That would be cool to have, like, two teams and you can just battle somebody on there,
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. They have, like, time trials and you can battle their combatants, but they're all AI controlled and stuff like that. So not quite the same. But yeah, I think this game is really good overall. I agree with Shane. I think it's definitely worth your time. If you like Fire Emblem, there's a lot of throwback to old Fire Emblem there as well. They have some old characters in the form of emblems. And, your whole main thing of this game is finding all the emblems, all 12 rings, and defeating the evil, basically. And the rings are old characters, like, for example, the very first one, which I'm sure is not a spoiler. Everybody's probably seen it in the trailers and things like that. The first ring is Marth, which is a pretty well-known Fire Emblem character. So, and you get a lot of well-known old Fire Emblem characters as your ring mates. And basically, when you give the ring to a character, like maybe the main character gets Marth, you can do a move called Engage, right? Hence the name in the title. When you engage, you basically Sailor Moon together, or Dragon Ball, morph together and basically become one character that can kick ass, really. I mean, those characters are strong as hell. Like, they're awesome. So you have a little meter that allows you to engage. That meter has to be filled up in order to perform an engage. There are things within the maps when you're fighting that you can stand on to raise that, besides just fighting characters. As you fight and move in different turns, the reticle for that goes up every time until it maxes out. Once it maxes out, you can engage, and you're engaged for so many turns. I can't remember how many turns it is, and then it'll go away and you guys will separate. And then you can fill it back up again and engage again. But once you engage again, you get kind of the skills that you have and the skills that they have, the person that you engage with. And you can also mix and match rings. So you can take rings off of certain people. They're not just tied to the person that they're on. You can take a ring off and move it to somebody else and things like that. So if you can mix and match who you want to be the people that can do the engage. And clearly, I mean, there's 12 rings. So clearly 12 of your combatants will be able to have these rings on the field. But your whole quest is getting the rings. So, you start out with one and so on and so forth, and you keep getting more as you progress. So I like the engage option. That's really cool. I think it adds a new layer because it does change up your character. So you're almost playing a whole different character when you engage because they have a different move set and they can do different things. I think Celine, which is the second character you get, the princess, her engage is probably, she's like the most OP one as far as, she has some awesome moves. She does magic and she can also teleport anywhere on the map, which is awesome. Another thing we will mention real quick is you do get an item in this game, which I don't see a lot of strategy games do. It allows you to rewind time. So there's this little amulet that basically, as you're progressing the game, if a character dies, you can use that and rewind before that happened. You can rewind any time, basically, since the start of the match at any time. So you pick that point you want to return to, and that's where you can start out. It does have limited uses when you're fighting. I think you can only use it once or twice. I can't remember what it was. But basically...
It will build up.
Does it build up over time? I thought it was. Oh, okay.
No, you can make it. I think up to 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
I can do it. I know I can do it twice.
Right.
But I hardly ever used it though. Honestly.
Yeah, I only used it once. I used it once just to kind of see what it did. And also I got one of my characters killed, which you can turn on permadeath if you want. If you're a hardcore guy, you can turn on the permadeath, or you can leave it on non-permadeath, which is what I did because I'm bad about getting my people killed. Yeah. There's also different difficulty options too. So if you're find that normal, which normal's pretty good, it's not too difficult, but it's not too easy. And that's what I played it on. But if you find that to be a little bit too easy, there are difficulties that you can go higher with.
I went with story, which is the easiest difficulty because, like I said, these aren't really in my repertoire. So I went with story and no permadeath because I like my characters where they are alive. So that to me works better. On a side note, if you become unengaged, she will take your ring to the pawn shop and buy her new boyfriend stuff. So just keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind when you're playing. No, but ultimately this game is really good. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you're looking for a good Switch game to kind of fill your time before Legend of Zelda comes out, this would be a good one to fill that time with. If you like Fire Emblem or if you like tactical strategy, either or, this is a great tactical strategy and Fire Emblem game. So definitely, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth I think it was $60 for this. So it's definitely worth the $60 if you like that type of stuff. If it's not your cup of tea, but you're interested in trying it out, well, it's a Nintendo game, so they'll never go on sale. So either buy it for $60 or just wait forever. But other than that, I think this game is definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot more features and various other aspects that are in the game that we don't want to spoil for everybody. So, if you are interested in it, we highly recommend it. So we think you should go out and pick it up if you're thinking about doing so. Do you have anything else you want to say about this, Shane?
No, I finally got to use my Switch again. So sweet.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure, let us know down in the comments below. Have you played Fire Emblem before? Have you played this one? Maybe you've played Engage. What do you think of Engage? If you've played Fire Emblem before, maybe this is your first Fire Emblem. Tell us what you think about it. If you've played this or think about picking it up. And other than that, thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Do us a favor. That would help us out a lot. If you could subscribe, that would be much appreciated so we can continue to do what we're doing. Also hit the bell notifications. Stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.